Hi there, I'm Sheila. It's wonderful to be with you. This video is called How Can I Change My Life Without Loss? And the reason I am doing this video is because right now people's lives are changing a great deal. And for many of us, we don't feel like there's anything we can do about it. I do work with people that are incredibly sensitive, and I see a lot of very, very intuitive, empathic people scared of moving their life forward in case their partner or their soulmate is unable to grow with them. And so this is something that the guides wanted me to talk about. So change can feel very scary. It's natural that at some level we avoid it. Eventually, everything will change. It can be an ending or an evolution. Now, when a soul contract ends, often one or both parties try to carry on as if it's business as normal. And this is when things start to crack. Addictions, isolation, irritation, upheaval, family issues, money issues are all signs that the soul contract in its original format has run its course. Now, the issue with this is that a lot of you are becoming more sensitive, not less. And this makes it harder to ignore what's in front of you. Your higher self is quite fearless and is quite prepared for you to have a wonderful life. But from our vantage point, it can feel as though we're being thrown from the devil into the deep blue sea. A lot of light workers have a high level of anxiety because there is an imbalance within their major relationship, and they're scared to admit that, because if they admit that there is an imbalance within the relationship, there's also a part of them which senses that the partner or the spouse, perhaps the employer, perhaps the child, isn't aware of that imbalance or isn't bothered by the imbalance, and so isn't prepared or isn't willing to grow. And so if the light worker keeps growing, there's going to be a loss. So how do you know that your life is supposed to change? Whether that is your relationship, when we're not talking about ending here, we're talking about change. You will feel increasingly insecure in your day-to-day life in other areas as well. You will feel as though you need to placate the one with whom there is an imbalance with. You may well feel frustrated at not being able to move forward within your career or your business. And you may feel as though all your inspiration has dried up. Now, why does this happen? So, soul contracts are stored within your aura, and very, very often one contract blends into another because we have more than one contract with all of our different soulmates. So, if a relationship or a marriage contract has technically ended, but you try to carry on as if it hadn't, it can bleed into a healing contract where you feel completely responsible for that person's well-being. That can bleed into your career contracts, it can bleed into your financial contracts, and it can even bleed into the energies of your family members, your children, your animals. Soul contracts are adjusted as we reach each pre-agreed stage. And the stages of a soul contract are like a book. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. But when we reach the end of a part of the contract, it must be acknowledged by you at least in order for it to be renegotiated. What happens, and I see this happen a lot, is that the light worker senses that the contract has ended and they're so scared of losing that person, they don't acknowledge it. So the other person doesn't feel any need to grow. The other person doesn't feel any need to expand because they're still living under the terms of the old contract. The light worker is faced with a horrible situation where either their own evolution is stopped or their gifts, their business, even their health start to come under the microscope because they're not doing the one thing that every soul comes here to do, which is to grow. So what's the answer? The answer is that there's a difference between loss being felt and loss manifesting. So there's a difference between fearing that your marriage or your relationship may not make it and it actually not making it. There is a difference. As we say, light workers are becoming more sensitive, not less. So loss is felt when we sense that the other party is unable or unwilling to change or grow at the pace that we are changing and growing. But what actually manifests is when we refuse to acknowledge that they are unwilling or incapable of growing as we need them to. And this happens because our aura touches onto theirs, and there is also an energy field around every relationship, every marriage, and every family. So acknowledging within yourself that you are worried or scared about an ending is something that can allow change to occur without loss. But this is only possible if you are willing to grow beyond your own fears. This isn't about affirming that everything is fine, but deep down you're unhappy. This is about reshaping your expectations for yourself now, because the longer that this goes on, you know, hear no evil, see no evil, and we all do this, the light falls out of the spiritual contract. When the light falls out of the spiritual contract, the auras separate. And eventually, when the auras separate, a split or a loss is what occurs. So it's really important that you acknowledge if there is a serious imbalance between you and your spouse or your partner or your family member, and that's okay. But then you've got to stay on your life path and you've got to keep growing. Now, one of the biggest issues that I see is when people start growing, they get fearful that they're growing too fast for the other person to catch up. But different souls have different rates of growth. And unless you're with your true twin flame, the reason you even have a relationship or the reason that you even have a marriage is that you are at different rates of growth. So it doesn't matter if their rate of growth is much, much slower than yours. They can be the snail, you can be the hare, as long as they are growing. But if you halt your growth, their growth will halt as well, and the light falls out. So this is about making sure that you are doing everything that you came here to do. This is about making sure that you are developing as a soul. This is about making sure that you are satisfying your own needs to be loved. And this is also about remaining inspired. And it's also about your energy becoming not just higher, but brighter and stronger as well. Essentially, it's about you becoming who you really came here to be, And a domino effect is possible if you are doing your part. Now, what some of the work that I do is I do relationship marriage clearings, I do spiritual development activations, and I also have an offer on to work with me. It's half price. You can have 4 sessions with me to do all of this work for just £250 UK, and that offer is on until the 15th of June. So if you would like to work with me and my guides to help you on your life path within your marriage, within your role as a light worker, within your family, I would love to help you. For now, lots of love from me, lots of love from them. Goodbye for now. We love you.